are blessed with love and amazing grace when our heart is in a holy place. When we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, when our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, when we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. Yeah, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we share the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place.
Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, humanist, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, atheist, and agnostic, believers in God, and more. We seek to welcome you, your whole self, with all your truths and all your doubts, your worries and your hopes. Join us on this extraordinary adventure of faith. Today, after the service, there will be a board meeting, and all are welcome to attend. I believe it's available via Zoom, Jake? Yes, it's available via Zoom to anyone. If you don't have the link, email either me or Jake, and we'll make sure that you get that by the time the board meeting starts. Pastor Eli will be attending that board meeting as well. As many of you know, there have been several members of our congregation who have tested positive for COVID. Most of them are recovering at home and doing better. Nobody that I'm aware of has been super seriously ill, but it has certainly changed how we functioned and how we get together as a church. Are there any other announcements? Okay then. In our community today, there are many children and adults, housed and unhoused, facing hunger and illness. Acting in compassion to the larger community, our service is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in the community. And now I believe we have opening words from Pastor Eli.
Yes, Kathy, thank you. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Our opening words are from the Reverend Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. Together we are more than any one person could be. Together we are part of something larger, the unfolding story of love and of hope. And our chalice lighting this morning. We light this chalice as a symbol of our shared stories. Each of us carries memories, struggles, and hopes, threads of a much larger tapestry. Alone, our flame is small, but together our lights weave a brilliance greater than any one of us could create. May this flame remind us that we're not alone, and the stories we bring are sacred.
And now we take this time to share in community with each other joys and concerns regarding significant milestones in our lives. I invite those who wish to light a candle to form a line to my right. If you have a spoken candle, please give your name and please be brief.
rise in the sea, roots in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We're supported by the voluntary generosity of all of our friends and members. We're committed to using your gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. We're deeply grateful for your support of our shared hopes and values. We're committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. Please stand if you wish and join us in singing number 1048, Ubi Caritas.
Caritas et
It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, our pastor, Elias Okpor. They are a Unitarian Universalist minister on the path to fellowship, a community organizer and a doctoral student at Pacific School of Religion. Formerly incarcerated and unhoused, Pastor Eli has over a decade of experience in national and local faith-based movements focused on homelessness, economic justice, and trans liberation. Their work is grounded in liberative theology, harm reduction, abolition, and mutual aid, with a commitment to building communities of care, resistance, and collective healing. Eli has served as intern minister for 3 congregations in the Rogue Valley, Ashland, Grants Pass, and Klamath Falls. They call Texas home, where they live with their partner Angela and their blended family. In their spare time, Eli enjoys reading, nature, art, writing poetry, making music, and advocating for justice. Pastor Eli Poor.
Thank you, Kathy, and good morning, everyone. Let me turn my video on here so you can actually see me. And I can see you all too. I see that we're few, but we are mighty this morning. And it's good to be with you, even from a distance. As many of you know, I've been under the weather this week. COVID has kept me from joining you in person, but it hasn't kept me from holding this community in my heart. And I'm thinking of everyone who is grieving right now the loss of our beloved minister, chaplain, and friend Donna. All who have also been ill. There are many in our community, unfortunately. And all of us who are just navigating the challenges of being human in these times in which we find ourselves. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your presence. All of you are the light in this community. So even though this format isn't ideal, and I'd much rather be with you in person today, maybe there's something fitting about the way we're connecting. It can be a reminder that we're linked in ways that can transcend walls and distance and even time. And so this morning we gather around the theme of sharing our stories, because our lives, our histories, and our struggles don't belong to us alone. They ripple out, weaving us into a larger community and weaving that into a larger fabric of meaning. So I want to begin with a poem this morning, Carl Dennis's Candles. It's one of my favorites, and I hope you enjoy it too. If on your grandmother's birthday you burn a candle to honor her memory, you might think of burning an extra to honor the memory of someone who never met her. A man who may have come to the town she lived in, looking for work and never found it. Picture him taking a stroll one morning after a month of grief with the want ads to refresh himself in the park before moving on. Suppose he notices on the gravel path the shards of a green glass bottle that your grandmother, then still a girl, will be destined to step on when she wanders barefoot away from her school picnic. If he doesn't scoop down and scoop the mess up with the one ad section and carry it to the trash can. For you to burn a candle for him, you needn't suppose the cut would be a deep one, just deep enough to keep her at home the night of the hayride when she meets Helen, who is soon to become her dearest friend, whose brother George, 30 years later, helps your grandfather with a loan so his shoe store doesn't go under in the Great Depression, and his son, your father, is able to stay in school, where his love of learning is fanned into flames, a love he labors later to kindle in you. How grateful you are for your father's efforts is shown by the candles you've burned for him. But today, for a change, why not a candle for the man whose name is unknown to you? Take a moment to wonder whether he died at home, with friends and family, or alone on the road on the lookout for no one to sit at his bedside and hold his hand, the very hand it's time for you to imagine holding. In this poem, Demis writes about the unlit candles that we never think about, the connections that could have been, possibilities that never came to be. And it also reminds me of the unlikeliness of our existence, of how unlikely it is that we exist at all, and how deeply dependent we are on choices and acts of care that we may never see. So let's pause for a minute and think about it. The sheer number of miracles it took for you to be here today, for us to be here together. Every ancestor surviving long enough to bear children, every twist of fate that kept a line unbroken, every chance meeting, every narrow escape. Scientists have actually tried to calculate the odds of our existence, and one estimate puts it at, I'm going to get this wrong, it's 1 in 10 with 2.5 million zeros after it. It's a staggering number. Another way of framing it, the chance of you being born exactly as you are is essentially 0. And yet here we are. Breathing, living, loving, together, miracles beyond calculation. Our odds of existing are smaller than picking a single atom out of the entire known universe at random, smaller than winning the lottery not once but 1 trillion times in a row, smaller than rolling dice the same way every single time since the dawn of creation. And yet, against all probability, we're here. Not an accident, not disposable, but once in all eternity, unrepeatable flames. And it's not just the odds of us existing, it's also the odds of the world evolving as it did. A planet orbiting at just the right distance from its star for water and life. A fragile atmosphere forming to cradle us. Billions of years of evolution, extinction, adaptation, survival, all converging to this single breath, this moment, and this room. And then add to that the odds that we would find one another, that our particular lives, shaped by countless choices and accidents and joys and heartbreaks, would intersect here and now. That together with our stories, we would be sitting in the same space. Every ancestor of yours had to live, and so did every ancestor of mine. Every risk, every choice that carried them forward brought us and probably into the shared moment. Out of all of the possible lives, out of all of the possible paths, we're here together. And more than that, our lives have been brushing against one another before we ever met. Through stories told and retold, through teachers and mentors, through movements and communities that formed us, our threads have already crossed in thousands of invisible ways. Perhaps someone who shaped me once shaped you too. Maybe a story passed down in your family quietly influenced my own. This web is tighter than we realize. And that's its own miracle, that these improbable threads of our existence have woven themselves together. And it's not just about survival, it's also about emergence. And I love emergence. We could probably spend the next 2 hours talking about this and have a Southern Baptist style service this morning, but I won't do that to you all. Emergence is fascinating. It's that mystery where life creates something that's more than the sum of its parts, where cells become bodies, where strangers become community, where chaos can give birth to beauty. Emergence is what happens when our lives meet. New meaning is born, new resilience is possible, and together we become something that none of us could ever be alone. And community is not just a collection of individuals sitting side by side. It's that something more that arises when we share stories, when we risk vulnerability, when we lift one another's burdens and multiply one another's joys. And this is why we gather. Not just because we like each other's company, though that matters too. We gather because together we can be transformed. So when one person grieves, the weight can feel unbearable. When that's spoken aloud in community, it becomes carried on many shoulders. When one person tells a story of survival, others recognize their own reflection and are strengthened. And this is a part of emergence, not just the individual sparks, not just survival, but flourishing. And within our history as a denomination, as Unitarian Universalists, that there's also a story of emergence. Each generation, when old answers no longer suffice, told new stories, and those stories gave birth to new communities. Not erasing what came before, but expanding it, widening the circle, telling the truth of their time. And our tradition, as we know, is not a creed. Rather, I like to think of it as a chorus of stories. And every time someone new speaks, the harmony shifts, it expands, it deepens. Our stories matter because through sharing them we make meaning. It's how we remember that our lives are not these isolated sparks, but part of a fire that's been burning across generations. Stories create belonging. They're how we recognize ourselves in one another. They're how me becomes we. And our ancestors knew this. Enslaved people braided their grief and hope into spiritual songs that carried both lament and endurance. Queer elders passed down memories of resistance, of Stonewall, of ACT UP, of community organizing, of dancing in bars that were raided, of burying too many friends, not only to remember, but to ensure that those who came after would know that they were not alone. Immigrant families kept recipes and languages alive across oceans and time, and all of these whisper, remember who you are. To share our stories is to resist erasure. It's to say, we are here, we loved, we suffered, we hoped, we dreamed, and our lives matter. And when we bring these stories together, your survival, my grief, her joy, their doubt, we create something no single voice could contain. We create a tapestry strong enough to carry us through loss, wide enough to hold our diversity, and beautiful enough to remind us why life is worth living. This is one of the reasons why story matters. Not because it entertains, maybe it does that too, but because it binds us together. And this is what church at its best can be, what community at its best can be, a place where our individual stories are honored and where together they create something new. Where the candle you carry is not consumed in isolation, but it's joined with by others until the whole room glows with shared light. So returning for a moment to the Candles poem. This poem imagines the encounters that could have been but never were, the unlit candles that never burned, and asks us, what will we do with the candle that we've been given? We all carry a flame that's entirely our own, a story that only we can tell. And yet, that flame burns brighter when we join it with others. And here again, there's the thread. Our flame isn't isolated. It's shaped by those who lit their candles before us. Our teachers, our ancestors, movements, strangers whose courage brushed against our lives before we even knew it. And now when we share our stories, we extend that flame outward, touching lives we may never meet. We light one another's candles. And when we do, the room grows brighter, not just for us, but for everybody who seeks hope in a weary world. In addition to considering the lives that never were, we're asked to consider in the poem the lives that did not yet meet. And of these, lives that had been long intersecting before we ever set foot in the room. Perhaps the person sitting a few rows beside you grew up listening to the same gospel record your uncle owned. Perhaps the teacher who believed in them once borrowed a book from your school librarian. Perhaps a friend of a friend introduced them to a mentor who taught them to organize. Maybe a distant cousin of yours marched in a demonstration years ago when their president shifted policy that allowed someone else's family to stay in the country, someone whose child later became your colleague. These are the invisible intersections, and we're standing on them. We're in all of these webs of influence that converge, migration routes, marriage lines, letters, recipes, hymns, legal precedents, songs hummed through generations. the stray kindness that tipped a person away from despair. Our lives encountered one another before we knew one another. And we are, in a sense, composite people made from 100 tiny gifts. If we recognize that, I think it changes how we act. We start to see that our obligations aren't just to the people we love, but to the people who have never met us, whose lives we nonetheless influence. We accept a responsibility to keep passing on the flame, the practices of care, the practices of resistance, community, love, so that those who follow us will find the place a little brighter. Returning a bit to synchronicity. Synchronicity is the habit of noticing the patterns, the way those patterns converge, these small alignments that can open doors. It's the thing that lets a canceled appointment become an invitation. It's the thing that lets a stranger's word be the sentence that keeps you alive. It's the thing that turns an ending into the beginning of something new. And when we practice noticing, when we practice listening for how our lives are shaped by others, we can make meaning without insisting that some kind of suffering is ordained. We can hold grief and still choose to notice grace. We can tell ourselves the truth that sometimes the world hurts without reason, and still, sometimes unexpectedly, a kindness appears that makes the world bearable. And these synchronicities are not cosmic certainties. They're openings that we can step into. And many of the movements we admire are composed of people who were paying attention and then acted, people who noticed injustice, people who noticed where care was thin, people who noticed the neighbor in need. Not prophecy, but attention. Not destiny, but choice. I think that's part of our call. And it's part of our tradition story, too. It was no accident that the Transcendentalists emerged when they did, when the Industrial Revolution was transforming society, when slavery was tearing at the conscience of a nation, when old certainties could no longer hold. Their voices were not inevitable, but they were timely. The same is true of the Universalists, who proclaimed the dignity of every soul at a time when fear and punishment dominated religious life. It still does, I think. Their story, our story, is one of grace breaking into a landscape of judgment. And that stories continue to unfold in the same way throughout the generations. We've had Unitarians and Universalists who stood for abolition, for women's suffrage, for civil rights when the cost was high. There's Olympia Brown, among the first women ordained to ministry, who insisted on her call, even when colleagues tried to silence her. Recently, we've had scores of queer and trans and black, queer, and trans. Such a rainbow of diversity in our congregations and in our ministry. We've had UUs show up at Standing Rock, congregations declaring themselves sanctuary, Black Lives of UU naming the truth that Black leadership and theology matter here, and also that queer and trans people are holy. None of these were accidents. They were moments when courage and grace emerged, right when they were most needed. And so the question gets passed down to us. That legacy comes to us. How will we meet this moment? And so today I want to invite us to reflect on our own stories. What are the synchronicities that brought you here? Where are the threads connected to a larger piece? What are the unlikely miracles that shaped your life? And what flame burns in you waiting to be shared? That convergence, this convergence, is not an accident. I might call it sacred synchronicity. When we notice it, when we honor it, when we weave our stories together, it becomes something greater than chance. It becomes meaning, it becomes grace, it becomes community. And this is what it means to be Unitarian Universalists. Not that we all believe the same thing, but that we are willing to tell our own truths and listen deeply to the truths of others, that we're willing to make meaning together, that we're willing to become more than the sum of our parts. We all know that life is fragile. The candles of our existence are brief, and they're flickering, and they're precious. And yet, so many things have conspired for us to be here together. We've emerged against odds so vast they boggle the mind. And the universe has unfolded in such a way that we exist. Against all probability, our stories have crossed, and we find ourselves here. And the truth is, none of this had to be. Not you, not me, not us. But we're here, breathing, singing, grieving, sniffling, hoping, becoming, gathering of once-in-eternity flames. So my ask is this: let's not waste the miracle. Let's share our stories. Let's light one another's candles. Let's remember legacy, community. Let's remember that in the fragility of our lives, there's also miracle. There's emergence. There's strength. And that's our shared story. We're here together across and in celebration of differences. We're here together, not finished becoming. May it be so. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Let me pull up my order of service here.
I think what we have now is opportunity for response.
Oh, conversation. Yeah, thank you so much,
Conversation,
Kathy.
yeah.
Apologies, all my head's a little fuzzy this morning.
I have my order of
still got,
service, so.
still got COVID brain.
Hi, Pastor Eli. This is Lori Jo. I'm all the way in the back. You may not see me.
Hi,
But
Lori Jo.
I see you. And I wanted to say thank you for showing up, even with an icky virus. And for those of people that can Zoom, I hope that their heart felt the message that I felt. And I'm in awe, and I welcome you here again. And just all around, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the support this week. Everyone also that's said hello, brought food, sent messages. Thank you.
Any other thoughts, comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here.
And now we have a closing song, The Story by Brandy Carlisle, and then Pastor Eli will have some closing words and we'll extinguish our chalice.
All of these lines across my face tell you the story of who I am. So many stories of where I've been, and now I got to where I am. But these stories don't mean anything when you've got no one to tell them to. It's true, I was made for you. I climbed across the mountain tops, swam all across the ocean blue. I crossed over land that I hide in the words that don't come out. All my friends who think that I'm blessed, they don't know my head is a mess. No, they don't know who I really am, and they don't know what I've been through like you do. And I was made for you. All of these lines across my face tell you the story of who I am. So many stories of where I've been, and now I got to where I am. Oh, but these stories don't mean anything when you've got no one to tell them it's true. I was made for you. Oh yeah, it's true that I was made for you.
And now, Pastor Eli, with our closing words.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of our stories, each thread, each life, woven into a greater whole. Go in peace, go in love, go knowing you are not alone. May you be blessed, may we be blessings to each other.
Obviously, extinguishing the chalice has an effect on the sound. Please join us in our closing circle. Probably most people won't feel comfortable joining hands, but at least we can rise and join and be together as we sing "Go Lift It Up."